Alright guys, so I just watched examples 3x3x3 villager farm, and he mentioned in there a couple things about the farm that I thought could have been improved, and one of the major things was the difficulty that he had getting the villager in there, because you need to get the villager in first, and then he had to go into just like the lower corner in order to till the soil and plant the crops. And I've found, like right off the bat, that there's actually a pretty easy way to take care of that using cobwebs, but we'll look at that in just a moment. So I wanted to tell you guys about the design that I've sort of come up with to improve some other aspects of it while I was at it. So number one, I moved the clock upward so that we could have some more hoppers down here, because in examples design he had a maximum of 2 hoppers, and I found that I could get easily 5 hoppers in here if I moved the clock up here. And the reason we need to move the clock up instead of having it in the middle here is because the clock is having an item go back and forth, and if there were hoppers underneath it, it would grab the item and put it into this chest and stop the clock from activating. Now, after I showed this design to Example, originally this was just a half slab, and Example suggested that I switch it over to be an upside down stair, so that if by chance the carrots were to shoot out this way and somehow go between the gap, now if they were to do that, they would hit the back of the stair theoretically and fall into the hopper. So that's just one more way to sort of maximize the efficiency. Now, in moving the clock up a block, we created these spaces where the villager could theoretically jump out. So that's why we have used this system to have an upside down slab here to basically keep him in. So he's got his head stuck in this block. And this has greatly improved the drop rates of the villager, although this whole design seems to be dependent on how much he decides he wants to work during the day, because he doesn't seem to want to always be harvesting. So anyway, this is how it looks over here. This is a very simple design. And what's kind of nice about this is that you could theoretically put the chest here and have these things pipe in this way if you wanted to. But if you look over here, it seems like putting it in the corner is going to give you the optimum efficiency, because in doing that, you're leaving these big open spots here for the carrots to land here. And if you were to take up one of these open spots, it's just you're going to lose the total efficiency that you want to get. So this is the design I suggest that you use. Anyway, so let's look at, obviously, just to sort of reiterate what Example was saying in his video, this is just ice that melts. And let's look at this design over here. All right, so this is a simulation of, like, let's say that you built this underground and you are trying to drop the villager from above, or even let's just say that you got him up to this point and you don't want to have to do what Example was stuck doing, where the villager, once he was in there, Example had to, in order to try to avoid hitting the villager's hitbox and activating the trading GUI, he was having to go to the lower corner to till the soil and then plant the crops and stuff. So by using cobwebs, we can actually completely prevent any issues by just breaking this block, letting him fall. And then over time, actually not a lot of time, it'll you know, he's going slow, but it'll actually go pretty quick. So you can see he's starting to fall, and he might actually start with the crops before he even hits the ground. Nope, he hit the ground. There you go. So you can see it's working. And I've actually found that the rates here, and some of these were already in here before, but the rates here are actually not spectacular. And this was the design I was originally going to stick with, because it worked really well, because he actually can't jump out because of the cobweb. I found that even when I put zombies nearby and he seemed like he was trying to move, he really couldn't go anywhere because of the cobweb. So this seemed like an A+ design, but I found that what I think is happening is that in this design, the carrots are being broken, and then they're flying up into the air and touching the cobweb. And then as they start to fall down, the carrots end up they hang up there long enough for the villager to actually pick them back up. So wow, actually got a tremendous amount considering I just checked those out. But that was what I was experiencing before. I feel like there is a potential for losing drops in this way. And like I said before, this is all dependent on how much the villager decides he wants to actually work. As you can see, we've been sitting here for a while, and the crops have not been harvested in just a couple seconds, whereas you'd think that they could just go repeatedly. So what I found a way to sort of take care of this is to break this block and replace it with an upside down slab. And then I'm going to just place a couple more here so that I can get the piston ready. Oop. Stand here. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this lever, and it's going to press the push the piston, which is going to push the block here, and that's going to remove the cobweb for us. So let's just go ahead and watch it. And there we go. And then you could just go back to this design, but Example and I were talking about ways to improve this compact design even further in order to add more and more useful things into it. And we discussed the fact that that this hopper here might actually not be picking up that many drops because it's the corner piece, and really the way that this is angled and stuff, you're probably not actually benefiting too much from it. So by getting rid of this and placing a hopper going into this dispenser, you could grab a chest and you could fill this chest up with bone meal. So you could just go ahead and pop that in there and have a really big supply of bone meal that is being fed into this dropper, so that you don't have to refill the dropper as often, and you could also be able to do it from this chest here, no problem. But in this particular case, I would recommend, because now we are looking at the situation where this is a half of a gate, and there's a pretty good potential for carrots to fly out of this open spot. I recommend that you simply get rid of this and you replace it with a fence gate, and that should take care of just about everything. So as far as I can see, this is probably the best. This is the best I could come up with some help with from Example. This is the best that I could come up with in terms of improvements to the 3x3x3 villager farm design. All right, so Example and I were talking, actually, we just ended the recording, and we were thinking, what could we utilize this space for? And I jokingly put a cauldron there because of how that sort of started the chicken cube experiment. But I was talking with Example, and we were deciding that what if you put a crafting bench here? Because if you were, instead of using this for carrots, if you were to use it for wheat, you could just take the wheat out of the chest and then craft it into bread and use that as your food source. And alternatively, you could put a furnace here if you were doing potatoes, and that way you could take the potatoes out of here and you could put them in here and then get the baked potatoes and use that as your food source. And in order to utilize the space, now keep in mind that this spot right here needs to be a transparent block so you can open up the chest. But you could actually just put the crafting table up here so that if you needed to, let's say, like if you ran up with a bunch of coal or something and you wanted to craft it into coal blocks before sticking it in here, this is basically, again, this is maximizing the potential of this spot. Literally every single spot in here is utilizing, there's a block occupying the space in some way. So I think that I've definitely exhausted the potential I see in this design, and of course the villager is actually not in here, but I've exhausted the potential that I see in this design for now. So if you guys have any ideas, we would love to hear them. Thank you guys for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Huh. Huh. Huh.
There you go.
Huh. Huh.
Let's see how our rates are doing. Terrible. They're doing terrible. You're picking up all of them.
I'm out of here.
All right. Thanks for watching.